what trended. We've talked about
Yeah.
what has trended for us.
That's why we were talking Hogan all the
Hogan.
time.
People hate Hogan, apparently. And again,
People love to hate Hogan.
but you know
is
what?
the
Why I was
issue.
talking about him today was just the truth, and that those facts weren't out last week. Where the 13,500 arena, they've sold 380 tickets. Last week I did talk about his apology. Don't get caught. People like Mark Henry,
What a solid
Bobby
apology.
Lashley, Booker T especially. People know Booker T.
I love Booker T.
Hogan, because you didn't apologize. You just said, sorry, I got caught.
Because those are the people that are supposed to be your brothers in the locker rooms.
Yeah. Hogan's fake, and that's sad.
You're drunk.
I can't believe I'm still here. And I don't know when this will be released, but here we are back. We're here consistently. I don't know where the Phillies offense is. As we record today, we lost to the Houston Astros 2-1, which is the last 3 games we scored 1 run.
Yes,
You got lucky. You were
Yeah.
there Sunday and saw a shitload of runs.
I did. I think they won like 10-2, or I mean, it was insane. It was a blowout from the start.
We love Philly. Philly is so much better when our sports teams are doing better. It just affects the whole city, I feel.
Everyone's just in a better mood.
Dude, and you know, like we are jaded maybe with the Phillies. We haven't done well last year. Last year we lost to the Mets in the playoffs, and that's a thorn that sticks in something like my side. But here we are, like again, jokingly that we're here every week consistently, and the Phillies have no offense. I said to your mother today, I said, maybe my internet went out, but I didn't read that they told Thompson, get off the plane. You know,
I don't think they'll do anything mid-season.
you got to shake up the team at some point. A lot of times it's the hitting coach that you get rid of first. I don't even know what his name is, honestly. But you got to do something. What is today? Thursday. So Tuesday night, you had 4 guys at the bottom of the order I never even heard of. Not
Right.
exaggerating.
Yeah.
But you don't have Harper. How are you even staying close? And, you know, we're talking baseball. We're talking Philly, though. How are you even staying close in the standings, which you are? You destroyed the Mets like last week. But I just fear for the city. You know, you got so much going on in life. We need our sports teams. And the Eagles are a couple months away.
I think we were riding on this season to keep us on a high from an Eagles Super Bowl win. We were going, okay, baseball's got to come in hot, and now it's just
Is that your first game you
lukewarm.
went to this year?
Yes.
This weekend? I know. We were going to go on Father's Day. Couldn't happen. I'm still trying to. Now they've prescribed apparently large medicine as people don't see any garage beer in front of me or Fireball. Now have Dr. Medicine. No, it did not come from CVS. No, it was not recommended, but we're going to call it Dr. Medicine. Dr.
There we go.
Kaitlyn. So talk about Phillies. I had to get that off my chest just because I'm just so annoyed. Wrestling. We're here with Wheatley. Here's a crazy thing, and I haven't seen you because you have some doctor job, and I don't get to see you as much as I used to. Wrestling. Cody Rhodes has put out his podcast, and it's cool. Cody Rhodes, as he's been a guest on our podcast, the cardboard version of him. Some of us feel he really is cardboard. And now you see his podcast. It's kind of funny. With the Wheatley bottles around the table. I've seen that somewhere before. Like
Once or twice.
once or twice. I've been yelled at about it before, and we've talked about that. We're a little different. They want us to do one thing. We're willing to do that. But if they want us to do a podcast, we're going to do it our way. But I saw the Cody podcast. I saw what as they're known as shorts.
Right.
I saw them and I love them. Love them. He's talking to Kevin Owens recently about Balor, about Randy Orton. Just cool stories. But I'm just obsessed with looking at the Wheatley vodka going, that was us.
No, you did it first. We did it first.
Yeah. And then when we slowed down doing it, I got yelled at. Go figure.
Gonna do it our own way.
Oh yeah, I would like to be free and clear with my statement right now. I have not been yelled at once today by Wheatley Vodka or Fireball or the WWE. Although I wouldn't mind getting yelled at by the WWE, just because it would just show that we're actually on their
They're
radar.
paying attention.
Yeah.
They've seen us.
Well, and one of the things that I want to talk about, we're talking about Wrestling Cody, the podcast. A little bit on the other half of this podcast, we're going to bring in Terry, who's the owner of Video Content Factory, Young Junk Studios, and I want to talk about podcasting. Just because I'm finding some really cool things, and I don't know if we haven't pre-discussed it, but I want to talk about the podcasting business because I'm still learning about it. I think I know social media. I think I know this and that. Terry will show us stats, and I go, well, let me see if I can quantify that stat into,
Right.
money allocated to us from whomever.
A different kind of number.
Yeah. Well, when you and I started this, we started on the street in a hut, and Terry had to come out and film us like one-on-one.
In our cardboard box.
Okay, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But what did happen was we Wheatley Vodka jumped on, and we never promoted anything non-tequila in our place, really. Conor McGregor, because I've hung out with him, blah blah blah. But really, we've never Tito's vodka. And Wheatley beat Tito's, but Tito's because they're the vodka for dogs,
people.
and we love that. And that's a legit thing. People don't even understand that. That's on every bottle of Tito's.
Vodka
for dog people, yeah. So I love that, and they're our friends. But Wheatley Vodka, and sorry if you don't like that, Wheatley, but Wheatley Vodka, and I saw the Cody podcast, I was just like, cool. And as I was telling Terry and you, I don't know when this happened, we are legitimately, this is very cool. We're legitimately under the WWE banner. They created a whole communications department. I mentioned it probably, 10 podcasts ago, Stephanie McMahon. And because she wanted, she's progressive, thought that they weren't doing enough with the podcast. They wanted to bring us down. 2,300 arena,
Right.
2 hours live. Luckily, Terry's so busy, we weren't able to do that, and I wasn't going to do it with anyone else. But now we're under their banner, and that's kind of cool. Terry and I get now, our checks are now like WWE, oh my gosh, it's not just, I have to write the check and I'm still waiting for a check. Now I can say, well, yeah, we're under their banner. And as we've talked about, we've included Fireball, and I've seen the Cody podcast. I don't know if Randy Orton can do a podcast. He's got great experiences in the WWE. Suspended many times.
It's been in a long
for marijuana use, never steroids. Is very pro marijuana, pro hemp, and they've lightened their testing policy over the years.
Well, I mean, in a situation like that, a guy who's getting bumped around and thrown around and this, that, and the third, and he's got pain for days, would you rather he smoke something a little natural or go to a doctor and ask for 7 million pain pills?
So that's a really weird lead-in. Let me kind of switch a little bit because I love that you just said that. There's a guy named Matt Riddle. Do you remember Riddle? He was teaming with Randy Orton. Orton got hurt, and ultimately they cut Riddle. He was like, yo, bro, long dreads, like a surfer dude, okay? And Matt Riddle was a UFC fighter. And the reason Matt Riddle left the UFC, because he would fail marijuana tests out in California, where it's legal.
Right.
But the UFC still had the policy that it was.
And their drug testing and is that where their headquarters are based, though?
Vegas.
Because even if you're a fighter out of California, you still have to follow Vegas laws.
Right.
So you're following, and then USADA and all those
Right.
things. So you're not following California law where it's legal. You're following UFC headquartered in Vegas. What's legal in Vegas?
And Matt Riddle was a really good prospect. And I really want to come back to this, but this is a great segue into something else, UFC. I have been a fan since UFC 1. I think it was Denver, Colorado. UFC 2, which was a 16-man tournament, one-night tournament. I love the tough guy stuff. Love legit, shake hands afterwards if you're conscious. But Matt Riddle is the only person that I know on the planet that holds wins over what they claim is the UFC GOAT, Jon Jones, who just retired. Matt Riddle has beaten him twice in wrestling matches, not pro wrestling matches, points and whatnot. Riddle's beaten Jones twice. Jones's only loss in the UFC was a 12-6 elbow. I forget to the kid he did it to, but he was destroying him. But he did a 12-6 elbow while he's down, and whatever. That's his only loss, disqualification. So Jon Jones, crazy question. I know I'm going all over the place, but in my mind, I wanted to ask you this because you don't watch UFC like I do. But if I say to you, kid, come watch this fight, like you're into it, you know enough people, Jones, the stars. I don't even know some of the non-stars nowadays.
Logic my way through it. Like,
Sure.
that guy's bigger than that guy. He's gonna, if he doesn't win in the first 2 rounds, he's gonna get tired.
Yes.
He's gonna go down. He's not gonna get enough oxygen to, like, I can.
No, you're smart.
I can muscle my way through some brain power of it.
And your sisters and your brother understood. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
So Jones, undefeated. He beat Stipe Miocic in I don't know, December, January. And Stipe was a fireman in Cleveland, great guy, but he was old. He was 35, 36, and he was heavyweight champion. So Jones beat him with a round leg kick to the body, just crumpled him. Jones, GOAT. He was a light heavyweight champion, never lost, except for the DQ. Heavyweight, beat Cyril Gane for the belt, beat Stipe Miocic. He had a challenger named Tom Aspinall, and a lot of people think Aspinall has his number. Young, tough, I think he's British. So they agreed to the fight, as it turns out. This is the truth. And then Jones backed out, okay? This week, I don't know, Tuesday maybe, Monday maybe, Jones retired. As the heavyweight champion, they named Tom Aspinall current champion. The very next day, the police video comes out once again of an out of his mind Jon Jones. He's in a car with a woman who's out of her mind, hammered. Allegedly, she says they were doing mushrooms and drinking. Her airbag got deployed during the thing.
Right.
The people pull up and they start filming him. He goes, my brothers kill people way more than I do. His brothers play for the NFL. At least they did. And they were pretty badass. One of them was really good. And Jones suddenly retires one day. And then the next day, his 3rd or 4th police video comes out of a hurt woman. And Jon Jones, after this guy was filming this, Jon Jones left the scene. When the cops showed up, Jon Jones was nowhere to be found. The woman is in the car with the airbag deployed.
Can't move, can't.
Say, Jon Jones drove me here. They go to his house. Yeah, I'm good. Magic mushrooms, drinking, just craziness. So let me ask you this. Weird question. Can he be the GOAT? Can you be the greatest of all time and you agree to FU money for this one last fight?
Mm-hmm.
Rumor is that it's somewhere between 15 and 50 million, which is a lot for a UFC fight. That's FU money. Agreed to it, apparently. And then backed out. Can you be the GOAT?
And then realize you're not going to win it, so you back
No,
out.
not that you're not going to win it, but
There's
you
a chance you might not win it.
That's how I feel.
No, because you can't say, oh, yeah, I'll do this fight, and then go, oh, I might not win. I might not be able to retire as, the greatest that ever was because I lost my last fight. So I'm going to retire and just go on my happy way.
Feels like.
And that is what it feels like. And I think it's a cowardly lion way out.
That's what it feels like to some fighters.
And that it's the, I'm going to take my title and run. And it's not the same as, other big league sports players who get that last ring, they get that last trophy and they retire because they're not, but they're not fighting for that, one last win. You agree to this fight. You agree to it. You sign the contract. You do these things. And then weigh the odds of like, I may lose my last fight. I got to walk away while I'm still on top. You can't do that and still be the greatest. You're the
Let's flash back
almost greatest.
to about 7, 8 years ago. You mentioned USADA just a little bit ago.
Mhm.
Do you know that they came to Jon Jones gym in Albuquerque, New Mexico, USADA, and he hid under the ring for 8 hours. That's a fact. That's not a rumor. It was during the Daniel Cormier stuff when he was on coke, when he was found with he failed a bunch of PED tests. First of all, if you're fighting on coke, I don't find that's performance enhancing. Yeah, you have that rush, but your breathing is going to be a little messed up ultimately.
Everything's going to be a little messed up.
Yeah,
Your breathing's going to be a little messed up, but ultimately, like somewhere in that match, it's going to wear off and you're going to be gassed a lot faster than you should have because you're taking a stimulant. And ultimately, what happens when you take a stimulant is you lose your stimulation.
Just so you know, we've never taken stimulants ever.
No, but it's just basic brain chemistry. My first degree is psychology. I can tell you anything you want to know about how that stuff works in the brain.
What is wrong with me?
It's
let's just stop the show right now. Make a list. And next 3 podcasts, you can list all the things that are wrong with me.
You know, there are certain things that USADA looks for that are good for them to look for. Yeah, they're things that, you know, even a playing ground that shouldn't be evened without hard work. Those performance enhancings. But again, you look at a stimulant that's just like, I was a little more awake. Are you checking for alcohol? Like, I was a little more.
Oh, because that's a
less like, I don't really care.
The Diaz brothers, 2 of my favorite fighters, the biggest potheads ever in the UFC. And they couldn't fight all the time because they wouldn't stop smoking. They would turn down fights because to them, that helps their body heal. And I believe in that method as well.
And that goes back to like what I said about Randy Orton. Would you rather have an athlete who's going to smoke something a little...
Great bringing it back.
Something a little natural that literally can grow in the ground. Like it's...
Or Mother Earth.
Or do you want someone who is going to... who is now taking pain pills, which are addictive, and then they become so reliant on them that they're going to 17 different doctors to get a 30-day prescription from 17 doctors, and holy shit, they might take 30 days worth of 17 doctor prescriptions in 30 days. Like, now they're abusing it. They're addicted. They can't get off of it. And then what's next? You know, they're spending all their money on that. And you see it. You see athletes come out. Yeah.
You're an athlete and your focus is on fighting.
But and then what's the next thing? You spend all your money on doctor shopping and doing all that. What's the next thing you do? You become addicted to like heroin.
Insurance ain't paying for it, homie.
That's gonna numb the pain. And so it really is this big idea of like, let them smoke something natural out of the ground that everyone can have access to, or let them all become addicted.
So, like Jones with the magic mushrooms, I'm cool with that. Comes out of the ground. Shout out to Jamie. I'm not no last names. Shout out to my guy Jamie, who grew his own in the Delaware River. I forget where, and I don't want to get him.
Yeah,
I wanted him to be able to keep his stash. Because he wasn't selling. He grew them for himself. And Jamie was an earthist. He's got a name for him.
Yeah.
Alchemist.
Yeah.
Love Jamie. Peace out.
Very, very natural.
So back to Jones. Let me answer the question I asked. He is the GOAT. Okay. Tarnish is on the GOAT. It makes GSP look better. Anderson Silva, who was also found with a lot of PEDs. But you ducked a fight. Had he fought Tom Aspinall and lost, there's just no question. Jon Bones Jones is the GOAT. Muhammad Ali lost multiple times.
Honest fights in this business.
Jon Bones Jones is late 30s. Tom Aspinall, I think, is maybe 24, 25, something like that. But but it's just a bad matchup. But I wanted to ask you about that on this, just because I love UFC and I love the GOAT discussions and the drug. The marijuana I don't feel is performance enhancing. Although, here's the way you make the case that it is. That they used to with Matt Riddle, as I said, really coming back full circle. He smoked weed in the UFC because it helped him feel better instead of taking Percocets or like whatever other painkillers are.
And again, is that really the argument for why it's performance enhancing? Or, some people can't take a Percocet. I've never been able to handle a pain pill.
I don't want to take any anymore ever.
But the last time I took a pain pill, I'd had the surgery on my gum with the root canal that went wrong, and they had to open my gum. And literally, who was our dog at the time? Rascal had to come and get you out of the studio because I was laying in bed crying, dead asleep, crying. But the Percocet messed me up so hard that it was like, okay, Lassie, Timmy fell down the well.
Right.
Take me there. Like, what's wrong? Like,
good analogy.
Our dogs are not like that. But
right.
For Rascal, who didn't even like the basement, to come get you and be like, dude, there's something messed up here. So like, again, someone like me, I can't take a pain pill, and I can't function on one. I can't do well. And you're telling me it's better for me to take a doctor prescribed Percocet or Vicodin that might actually mess my system up worse than to smoke something that comes out of the ground, which is legal where I live.
Right.
And I understand, under UFC, we function under Nevada law because that's
wherever the show is, to be honest. You have to pass that state athletic commission test.
The state.
And then I think Dana actually got rid of USADA.
Okay.
Because of GSP, George St. Pierre.
Yeah.
Because he didn't trust them. Because Jon Jones hid under the ring. Like, that's a legit story. And the legit guys got upset. Because Jon Jones fought a guy named Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks beat him. They gave the win to GSP. But everyone knew in the world that was watching Johnny Hendricks was on the juice.
Okay.
All gas, no brakes.
They should all be tested for, performance enhancing drugs. And I think it's fair to say, you have to pass whatever marijuana law in the state that you're fighting in.
Yeah.
Because you also know in like January that you're going to be fighting in June in this state. You can figure out a timeline for a P test.
So that's my opinion on Jones.
There.
Can I tell you who I would love to at some point, possibly if I was ever going to smoke medical marijuana, who I would like to do that with? Not Hulk Hogan, but the 12,800 people that aren't showing up to his new show. Hulk Hogan on early April, announced with Eric Bischoff. This is our wrestling portion of this show. It's carrying on, but whatever. And that's the new show. Freestyle wrestling. Like, not pro wrestling, but a little bit entertainment with freestyle wrestling. They booked an event for the arena is 13,500. You and I, as we film this podcast at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, whatever time it is right now, 380 tickets sold. There's somebody I like to smoke pot with, not Hogan. There's 12,800 people
that chose
because
not to buy tickets.
We kind of keep going back, and we're talking about drugs in UFC, USADA, Hogan, the ultimate juice guy, and it's not me accusing. Testified, ripping off superstar Billy Graham, and he had Billy shoot him in the butt. That sounds weird. Literally, why? Because it's fatty. Is that why you do that?
It doesn't hurt.
But that's what they were doing, like back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Because you're also, sometimes you're going for the fatty part, but sometimes you're going for the muscle. So if you're taking a steroid, you're injecting directly in the muscle.
And again, I'm not kidding. It was always like in the butt.
Yeah.
And all the boys in the locker room, it was, it was not a weird thing like that.
It's why like certain shots you take in your stomach, you're going into like literal fat tissue. That butt, you're hitting your gluteus. You're hitting your gluteus maximus or your minimus, and you're taking that, and that's why you see people's faces go like, oh,
Here's who people think this guy is. Over the weekend, it came out Hulk Hogan might be on his deathbed. They're calling the family in I think he lives in Tampa. They're calling the family in to say their goodbyes, whatever. I believe it was a back issue, and he does have a bad back because he's been carrying that ego around for forever. But that show, they're just trying to sell the show.
Yeah.
It really is just trying to sell the show.
And he may
So-
be bedridden, but he's not heading for his
No, he's
fall.
already out of the hospital. How crazy is that? So I love that. We talked about Cody, all the Wheatley vodka. We love Wheatley vodka. I wanted to ask you about Jon Jones, just as one of my kids who always hears me yelling, not kids, sorry when I say that, but I always hear me yelling for years in the house because I watch the fights.
I used to
Matt
watch,
Hughes
I
back
used
in
to
the
watch all the
day.
pay-per-views with you.
Sure.
Trying to think what the last.
I think you've watched since, but remember when you and I watched Ronda Rousey get knocked the F out within 48 seconds by Amanda Nunes,
Yeah.
who's the greatest female UFC fighter ever, who's coming back out of retirement.
Why can't I think about no, we watched a pay-per-view together. I don't know if it was a boxing pay-per-view that was a UFC crossover or a UFC pay-per-view that was a boxing crossover. But we watched did
were
we
you
watch
with Connor and
Yes.
Money Mayweather?
Yes. I was home for that
$100 I
one.
paid for that nonsense.
Yeah, we were I was home for that one. And I think that's the one I'm thinking about. But I've watched all the pay-per-views and
Yeah.
I've always, and again, it's one of those like if you have a sports mind, you understand it. If you have a science mind, you're still sitting there going, yeah, I understand this. The big person wins unless they get seepy.
You know what? It depends on who the smaller person is.
Right.
You got somebody like, geez, one of my favorite fighters. I won't say favorite, but one of the greatest UFC fighters is Demetrius Johnson. He's my top 10, but he was small. I think he fought at 135. Never lost.
Right.
They hated him because his fights were just technical. And you're 135, like when I was in high school, instead of now, and you fight at 265.
And I think also when you think about that fight, like two guys can be the same size, but it depends where they carry their weight. If one guy
Skill matters though too.
Oh no, it matters. They can be that same
Wrestling
size.
versus jujitsu,
Someone who carries-
striking versus grappling.
Someone who carries most of their weight in their arm,
Muscles need to breathe.
they're going to get a lot
You know I
more
love Brock.
tired than someone who can spread that weight out across their body.
You know I love Brock Lesnar.
He's
Good,
he's
bad, indifferent, whatever.
If he doesn't win early, he's
Dude,
going
And it showed. Alistair
always
Overeem beat him. Overeem was on the juice big time. Isn't that funny to say somebody was on more juice than Brock? But like when Brock won, Frank Mir, those two fights, I think your brother and I watched both of them. Brock lost the first one in under a minute and a half. Like he got toe held. So he should have just known. Because he's a wrestler. He's a collegiate champion. By the way, his daughter, Maya, I apologize if I got that wrong. She is one of the best female shot putters in the world, not just the U.S. She's holding records. She's a great athlete that way.
Those are
She looks like him, and I'm sorry.
well, shop
She's
putters are
real
not-
bright blonde hair. He's got long hair now, too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, Brock does.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though. Shot putters historically, not little people. You're not gonna see like a very who's gonna be one of the best in the world.
The Von Erichs. Kerry Von Erich. You've heard me talk about Kerry tons of times. Beat Ric Flair for the belt at the Parade of Champions after his brother died. Kerry ultimately took his own life during the early days of ECW. We had bought him in. He was just hammered out of his mind every show. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know who he was. And I don't even remember why I just got into that about, other than the drugs, the steroids, and then the real bad, but the muscles. Terry was just God. In Texas, these girls, he was a rock star. He came out to ZZ Top. I forget what the song was. And then, he went to WWE because he didn't even have his foot. Lost his foot. A lot of people watched the movie. I don't even remember what the movie was. They left out two of his dead brothers out of the movie, but for
Sometimes you just gotta do that for the timeline.
Yeah, because they all died. Kevin's the only one alive who we knew, or your mother and I knew.
Yeah. What was the name?
But that was the drugs of UFC and That'll come to me.
Right.
The movie. All of a sudden, we're going to be talking. I'm going to
You'll
go.
be sitting
Oh yeah, blah 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 blah.
the Iron Claw.
Iron Claw, great call. So Hogan, we talked about. Show's not working. Still 12,000 seats available. No free tickets at La Roca. How you doing? What else did I want to bring up? We are going to be going to Terry, and I like this because we've been renewed, you and I. We did our podcast. We did it once live with Enrique. We loved that. Loved Enrique. Enrique reached out to us afterwards, just thanking us for being able to get it off of his chest. He reached out to me with his new phone, and he's like, I just wanted you to say thank you. I felt so comfortable. I'm like, dude, I wasn't going to, hit up all the things. If we do a Rockstar Rants recap podcast, that's another thing. But that's besides the point. And then last week, we did the podcast from the restaurant. And that was really cool because we had a great mixer. And I'm going to just kind of end this with that, saying it was so nice to meet some of our cohorts. Is that the right word?
Fellow junkers.
Fellow junkers.
Fellow junkers.
Yeah.
Our junk mates.
I think that's what Terry was saying that night. Like junkers and Dylan showed up. Our very first producer and his girlfriend.
I like junk mates.
Our
junk mates.
So that's what we're gonna do. This was great, and I'm actually gonna other off-topic questions for Terry. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do right now. This was so cool. Now I want to talk a little bit more about podcasting because there's a lot in the news this week. So now, this is what I've been waiting for to a degree as well, to talk about podcasting. I got the boss with us right now. I love that. So, but Terry, before we get there, I want to ask you, we're having this whole discussion about a GOAT, and it doesn't mean UFC. It can be anything. Can you be, if you are viewed as ducking your last fight, and that's how he's being viewed, can you be the GOAT? Because I'm okay with a loss on your record if you lose, but you didn't duck anybody.
So if we look at this using Tom Brady rules, Tom Brady's the GOAT of football. You cannot take that away from him no matter what. He lost a couple of times. In fact, he lost before going out.
Than any quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Right. But he has 6 rings.
He's got the most rings of any quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Correct. Which makes him the GOAT you win by, you become the GOAT by winning, not by losing.
Isn't this the same analogy that I was kind of saying, which is like when someone wins their Super Bowl and they want to take that last ring and retire right then and there? If they come back and go to their team and they lose the first 3 games and then quit the team again, like, okay, that's bad.
I'm pretty sure he left the team
in the middle of the season, but that's not how fights work.
Super Bowl and win.
He left New England. I believe he won his Super Bowl in the first year.
He won with Tampa. Yeah, it's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And that was the year that Antonio Brown, mid-game, took his jersey off, ran off the field. But he's the GOAT. He did not face challenges. He just...
It's humble to retire when you're on
but that's
top.
more of a team sport.
Yeah, but it's very humble to retire when you're on top, knowing you're retiring.
John Elway won 2 Super Bowls in a row and got out on top. And it helped his legacy. John Elway, when he retired, was top 5 quarterback in the world. No. Marino was always there. Montana was always there. Peyton then became there. Brady obviously became there.
Yep.
And you still have Elway there, but you always had, the older guys, Unitas, whatever, whoever won the most Super Bowls.
Yeah, even Terry Bradshaw, those folks.
4 Super Bowls for Terry. Yeah, I get it.
Greatest of all time have losses. It's a humbling.
So I'm okay if Jon Jones had fought and lost. I also feel he knew that footage was going to come out very shortly. And he retired one day, and all of a sudden the footage comes out, and it's TMZ's top story the next day. Jon Jones wrecked out of his mind in a car going, my brothers kill more people, way more people than I do. Like, I'll hurt you.
What was it? It was a DUI?
More than
he left the scene.
Oh,
fleeing the
Oh.
scene of an accident.
So he's going
It
to-
was a DUI.
I don't know if they got a test out of him. So I think it might have been like, oh, you like whatever
Right.
Houston's laws are. But he admitted to doing mushrooms
Mhm.
and he admitted to not having as much alcohol as she says he had. But girls beat up, not beat up.
Let's get
By
all the
him.
bar footage, all the club footage. Just
It's
like
available. No,
just-
they did it at his house.
As,
No, no.
well, but let's go to the bars and get all that footage, just like they just did to Karen Reed,
but if you get arrested,
to be able to say.
does that impact your being the
No,
greatest of all
no,
time
no,
is not about
no.
were you
It
arrested?
Doesn't make
Does
you
not
the
make
best
you
person of all
arrested.
time.
But
Makes you the
but that
greatest
doesn't
fighter of all
matter.
time.
You're
That's
asking
what
me
matters.
the greatest of all
It's
time
greatest of
UFC
all
fighter.
time. Correct.
Right. It
What-
doesn't matter if you're a
Who-
good
yeah.
person.
Right.
Now,
honestly.
Like if Gretzky was a jerk, he'd still be the
That's
great
the
one.
greatest.
I mean, that's.
I don't care about Ovechkin scoring all the goals in Washington. There's no one like the great one.
Right.
Really. There's just no one like the great one.
There's a lot of great players who are jerks. There's a lot of great athletes.
The
who are
Philadelphia.
Well, Michael Jordan's the best example.
Oh.
Michael Jordan, that documentary is one of my
Just the
best
most
things.
competitive.
Well, one could argue. I think it's a bit of both. But I don't think he would have been Michael Jordan and been the greatest of all time
He
if
wasn't
that
a
person.
dick.
Correct.
Right.
If he didn't have
The
that
most
personality, he
competitive
wouldn't have made it.
I mean,
Like her and I right now, if one of us is Jordan, we would be fighting the other one to see who's done first. Like he was
That's right.
that
Yeah.
insane.
But I love that. Tiger's that way too.
So let me go off
Tiger, but let's
topic a
talk
little bit
about-
more. I don't know what a Jordan fan you are. You know he left for a couple years, right?
Oh yeah.
Why do you think he left?
I think he left because
His
of
father
gambling.
being, thank you.
Yeah, I think he
Thank
left
you.
because of gambling
Apparently,
issues.
because he was playing, they would play the Knicks constantly, and he would take the limo to AC. And not betting 10, 20,000, betting hundreds of thousands at a night.
Yeah.
And showing up the next game, though, and still dropping 40.
He absolutely
But
had
they
a
were upset.
gambling issue.
I don't believe it was his father dying
Some of us
on the road
love
in North
a roulette
Carolina.
Table.
Oh, you randomly? No, I don't believe it was random
But
at all.
That's
I
you mean
think
his
he got
father?
it. Yeah, I think he got into trouble. I think he got his dad killed.
So you look into the guys, and now I can't believe, I think the one guy's name might be Timothy or Tommy, and I haven't thought about it in years. It's hard to find a connection with, Anthony Soprano or somebody of that ilk.
Yeah.
It's just hard to, but you never know. You never know. So
Also, it was the 90s. It was
Jordan-
way different
if
time.
you imagine Jordan on the podcast,
No,
bringing me on, Jordan would say, "Oh man, Steven, great. You've been a soldier, you've been a bounty hunter, you've been a pro wrestler, you're an entrepreneur your whole life. Let me tell you how much better I am than you at everything that you do." That was Michael Jordan. That is Michael Jordan. Him and Charles Barkley playing golf. Charles sucked at golf, but Charles pissed him off one time, and they've never been friends again because it's a competitive thing with Jordan. If you watch what was the show during the pandemic? 12 episodes, 7 episodes of.
Oh, the Michael Jordan documentary?
Yeah, but what was that called? ESPN just played it,
I don't remember.
but it was massive. It literally was dropped.
Oh,
I had the
remember.
date.
I watched it with you.
4/20/20. It was during the pandemic, but Jordan, it just showed his competitiveness. I would love to have seen him in a podcast.
That was one of those documentaries I watched with you.
Where were we all going to go? I was sat home eating chips.
The Last Dance.
Thank you.
Last-
The Last Dance.
But The Last Dance, actually, this segues. The Last Dance really, in many ways, is set up of what a podcast is, which is long form conversations
Love that.
being put together into
Shorter forms.
shorter forms,
Even though they
longer
were
forms.
hour
But it's the idea of
episodes.
like, it's just people talking to the camera.
Yeah.
Jordan and the greatest thing about that documentary is Jordan did not have to do it. He famously doesn't do stuff all the time because he just doesn't have to. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to do press. He can do whatever he wants whenever
Let me
he wants.
help you a little bit with
And
that.
he didn't even look that great in it all the time, and he still paid for it, got the whole
He
thing
looked
done.
like a douchebag at
And-
times.
And yet he made the greatest sports documentary I've ever seen.
And you watch the guy in
That's
the
the
locker
best
room,
documentary series I've ever seen about
one
sports.
of the locker room guys with the really white,
Yeah, I love that guy, Willie.
and they were gambling playing quarters off the wall, but so competitive it wasn't funny. So again, I feel Jones, you can't not make him the GOAT. Tarnish his image to a degree by not fighting Aspinall. The arrest, that's just Jon Jones.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Jon Jones on a podcast.
He's been arrested before. He'll probably be arrested again. The guy loves drugs.
His wife, and it's documented.
You don't have to be a good person to be the greatest of all time.
Agreed.
So this is perfect. This is why I have Terry here.
Being the greatest person.
Oh, am I the greatest of all time at podcasting? But I'm not a good person.
We feel.
Let's talk about it.
We think you've cracked at least that first 12,600 people that haven't bought tickets to Hogan's show.
Yeah.
Just kidding. So wait a second. No, hang on. So now we're talking podcast.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we're talking Jon Jones. We mentioned Jon Jones, which just leads me into Joe Rogan, who is my favorite podcast. I put it on and I just leave it on. I don't listen to everything because I'm working. I'm doing everything else. I just love him in the background. Big UFC guy, obviously. Loves Jon Bones Jones, is not happy with the current aspects. But Joe Rogan, here's Joe Rogan in the news this week. Joe Rogan, let me back up one little thing, swayed the election. Donald Trump was willing to go on his podcast and got 10 million views that first day. Kamala Harris negotiated. Don't ask me this. Don't ask me that. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. This is all the truth. And Trump gave no, and this is no politics. This is no politics. I believe that swayed a big portion of the election because Rogan is so popular. So now, Rogan is in the news this week. I don't know if people here have heard about the Liver King. Have you heard about the Liver King?
Oh, I know Liver King.
So Liver King, this guy who claims that he was natty. Okay. And he's jacked beyond belief. You know that because you get the Meathead podcast. And this guy claims that he's just jacked beyond belief. And I don't know what happened. Somehow, and Rogan loved him, but then Rogan would say, he's not natty. Like, it's all good. You look great. Great content. Great TikToks. Great Insta. But you're not natty. And I'm just telling the truth, is what Joe Rogan would say. And the guy somehow got caught. I forget how he got caught. But this week, Liver King got arrested for threatening Joe Rogan's podcast.
Because he threatened him publicly on Instagram.
About his podcast.
Yeah,
and
like threaten him. That's how he got caught. He threatened him publicly.
But that's the outreach of what we're talking about, podcasting.
There's no like, oh, someone had to turn him in. This dude literally went on one of the, some of the biggest
and he's a steroid
platforms
nut
in the world.
Sure.
And, you know, when you're a podcaster, a lot of those times, those platforms are all connected. You threaten me on Instagram, it's going to pop up on YouTube. It's going to pop up on Facebook. It's going to pop up on TikTok. It's all kind of like everyone TikTok because I
love that. That's funny.
I don't have TikTok.
I love that. It's so
all
funny.
just TikTok. But all those things become interconnected. And so this dude was literally dumb enough to go on a international platform, and I don't know exactly what he said, but
neither do I. It doesn't matter.
Joe Rogan's life.
Yes.
In public.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're pro Rogan or pro not. It's a human being, and this guy is so incensed with his juice, USADA hiding under the ring, and it threatened him.
You just have to be pro not stupidity. You don't threaten someone publicly on an international platform when either one of you has X amount of followers.
Yeah, but
I mean,
but at the same time, I mean, the guy's deranged because he isn't the one who actually ruined his career. It was More Plates, More Dates, the guy on that show that Rogan had on, who went through and was like, this guy is juiced out of his head. This guy is lying.
Rogan went on a podcast?
No. It was
Rogan had
More Plates, More Dates. There's a guy named Derek.
Okay.
Who became famous because he went through all the Liver King stuff and was like, wait a minute, no, this is exactly what he's on. This is why I know he's on the stuff. Because he's like, I've taken it before. I know the signs.
Sure.
And then he went on Rogan afterwards, and that's how it exploded and Liver King went down.
Gotcha.
So Joe also publicly many times said that guy's a liar. He's
right,
but so is every podcaster.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
look at his
But
body.
yes, he
Yeah.
did platform this guy Derek, who's does great content, but he platformed him, and
Not
through
Derek
that
from Lucky's. We love you.
Derek from Muscle Geeks, we love him.
Derek from Muscle Geeks. Yeah.
Sorry.
For your junk brother,
One
Yeah.
of our junk mates.
My,
one of your junk mates.
My junk.
Oh,
Here.
it's like
Sounds
bunk
so
mates?
creepy.
Junk beds.
But I
And
get you
for-
though. So so not the Rogan thing. Do you know who? I think his first name is Wes. I want to say Walker, but that sounds like
No, you mentioned this, and I don't know who this.
So this guy is a big podcaster, juice head, and everyone knows he's a juice head, and I don't think he hides it. And he always is telling people to pull up. And this guy pulled up, big dude. And he started beating Wes, whatever his name was, beat him with a weight belt. But it's all about podcasting. I'm not trying to get into violence. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what a crazy 2
Wes
weeks.
Watson.
Watson. I knew it was W.
I mean,
And the fight is brutal. When you see the guy's face, and I don't know, you can put him up afterwards, as he's talking to the cops, his face is so swollen.
it's like
He thinks he got jumped by multiple people and hit with a weight. One other guy did kick him in the face. This guy, Wes Watson, I believe I read he might have hit him over 100 times. And the guy's down. And the cop said to him, there's a fight, and then there's excessive use of violence.
well, yeah. There's a fight,
The cop
and
said
then
that to him
there's
very calm.
attempted murder.
It was a viral
No.
gym
yeah,
beatdown.
excessive.
That's
but
what the cop said in his
consensual.
words. What's that?
Consensual gym beatdown because he invited them to do it.
So yeah, but it's the excessive
So,
part
yeah,
that
there's
he's
the
in trouble
fight,
for.
and then it's he's already
You won
on
the
the
fight,
ground.
bro.
He's
in
not
30
moving.
punches.
Wait,
or
so did
less.
Wes hit the other?
With a
Wes
weight
assaulted
belt.
someone?
The weight
with a
belt.
weight
Oh,
belt.
God.
And one of his 3 boys kicked the guy in the face while he was down. Wes kicked him in the face multiple times while he's down.
That's pathetic.
That's what I'm saying. But this is all about podcasting, as we're discussing. The dark side, not the junk. Every time I say the junkers, I'm feeling like it's the dark side.
Junk.
But that's
Junk
we're fellow junkers. Now we'll get into the mixer because that
Junk
was awesome.
mates.
But
Junk.
that was podcast, and that was crazy. That is a massive TikTok story, Google story, just because again it went crazy, excessive, and the guy's a juice head. But he's famous because he's a podcaster and he's a juice head. You got these guys, girls, whomever, just too much. Here's a question, and I don't know the answer. I don't even know, possibly. Who are some of the bigger female podcasts? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, Michelle Obama's the big one.
I didn't know she had a podcast.
She's got a monster
So let me ask you this. With her, how often does she post?
every day.
Was it very short?
So yeah.
Does anybody ask her about the divorce?
Well, no, not on her show.
Well, that's a
because
big
you
rumor.
cater your
She's
show,
That's a big
Filter.
rumor now.
but you cater your own show. So you put out
Yeah,
what
but
you want to put out.
wouldn't that get you views if you tell the truth?
Do you
like-
need views if you're her? So that's the thing. Some people there are podcasters and there are influencers who are using the podcast medium as a platform. And there's a big, big difference
Understood.
because comedians naturally fit into podcasting. It's like, why don't we just be a radio DJ on the side? That is natural. Influencers have a tough time coming into this medium because it's all this. You have to be able to speak. You have to be able to
Instead
have
of making short
conversation.
videos.
It's
Right.
not. Oh,
Right.
look at the Amazon dresses I bought. Let me
Right.
try them on.
Or let me
for
do
you.
that.
a TikTok dance.
Right, because how do you turn a 30-second Instagram
So wait,
reel
So
into?
she's big. Who else?
I know Amy Poehler just started one that a lot of people are doing. But and again, the people who are doing them well are the people who are like, well, I'd like to do this. This would be good, but let me actually be good at something first and then create a
And then
podcast around that.
I think
A world around.
Becky Lynch will be the first WWE female podcast, or Charlotte. But she's got some issues of popularity right now. Becky Lynch,
She's not the most popular.
yeah, she's got some issues. Becky Lynch is, but it doesn't matter if she's a babyface or a heel. People
She's
like
the
her
man.
story. She has a baby. She's the man. But champ. She came out with the Starbucks commercials, married to Seth Rollins, came back with a big contract, and she's likable and she's smart and she's articulate, and Americans like that accent. I don't mean that bad.
She's one of those first female WWE wrestlers that wasn't viewed as a diva before a wrestler.
What liquor do they assign to her? Wheatley is Cody. Fireball is Randy Orton.
She's going to be, okay, so
Whiskey.
they already assigned a whiskey.
Yeah. Irish.
Because she's Irish. She's a whiskey.
Jamos. They're not going with Jamos.
But like when I think about Becky Lynch, she was a wrestler before she was a diva. You think about the Bella Twins,
they're divas.
Yeah, but
they're not wrestlers.
The one had a kid and came back into the ring.
And they hated her. I hated her.
But how many female wrestlers? How many?
Because she wanted babies with Cena.
No, I'm thinking about the other one.
Doesn't matter. The other one who married Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Who doesn't remember his name a lot of the mornings because he has been concussed so many times, sadly. One of the greatest, his name was the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. But everyone now thinks he's Daniel Bryan.
Right.
And when he was on the independent circuit, he was the greatest independent. But he married her, and they have a great life.
But when you look at Becky Lynch, but like even then, her in comparison to, oh God, what is the Miz's wife? Maurice. She had a baby and came back to the ring as his female mouthpiece, essentially. She didn't get back into the ring. Becky Lynch worked while pregnant for a while.
A little bit.
Left the ring.
She left early.
Yeah, left the ring, had that baby, and then was like, all right, I'm going back to the gym because this is my sanity.
But gone for a while because of her contract.
Right, but it was also like, this is my sanity. I'm getting back in shape so I can get back into that ring. You don't see female wrestlers do that. So I think she's an interesting point of view to give her a platform because I think it appeals to
Here's another reason.
Side of that.
But can she talk?
Yeah,
I believe so, brother.
Holy moly.
And guess what?
Can you understand her through the accent is
yes. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, yes, there are. So it's actually kind of sad, the life of female podcaster. You know who had one of the biggest podcasts? The Hawk Tua girl.
Oh, God.
She doesn't even know who that is, I don't think. At one point I asked.
And it's over.
Because she
was
went into she went into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And overnight, she cost so many.
And she didn't know. She got scammed by somebody.
So she made $60,000 on the hack,
which is that's great.
No, that's a fact.
That's great. I thought you were going to say on the crypto thing. I was going to say, well, that's nothing.
She made a lot more.
You have these people that come through it, and they're making this merchandise because what was that, a TikTok for a while?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First,
some guy that was just randomly asking chicks questions.
Okay, but think about that. The most famous, social media, whatever before her was probably the girl who came off Dr. Phil, Bad Bobby.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's a billionaire.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch me outside.
How about that?
Because she was a teen who had problems with her mom and went on Dr. Phil.
And has been
that was the state of things.
It started with like the Dr. Phils of the world, and now we went to social media, and now we're moving to podcast.
Well, that's because there will always be a place for trash TV, and now it's easier than ever. But I do have to say, the Joe Rogan rival was a show called Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy.
That's massive.
Isn't she awesome?
Well, she's okay. She's okay. I don't know. She's that great.
She appeals to females.
Their old show, when she had a partner, was better. And it was a good show, and they built it by themselves. And then what happened is one of them got involved with this producer boyfriend who started trying to pull strings. Meanwhile, Dave Portnoy is like, okay, I'm ready. You guys are great. We want you to be the female representative of Barstool, our brand, and we'll put money behind you. And all of a sudden, the one girl's boyfriend starts acting a little crazy. The show explodes after they put and then she ends up getting booted, misses out on the investment, and then I believe they still bought Call Her Daddy, but I think he sold it back or something like that.
I bet I have.
But it went
Barstool, and I don't think it's Barstool.
It was a band, and someone tried to go solo.
I bet I have one that was even slightly more popular, had a short run. I forget what her name was. She did it in bed with Drake.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
She just completely monotone, like, have you always combed your hair that way?
Yeah, she's
You know
a
what I'm talking about?
mom. She's
But
got
then-
divorced.
No, she
There's
got
a whole
divorced
bunch
because of the
stuff.
Drake thing. She went to the concert. Were they screwing around or were they not? No one ever found out.
Bobby something.
Yes, Bobby something.
Yes, I watched one of her things. One of the funniest things is she went on an episode of Bad Friends. Bad Friends is I think number 2 under
Really?
Rogan as far as like it's probably the number 1 comedy podcast.
Where's What's
Bobby
Happening?
Lee and Andrew Santino, and she went on there. And they wiped the floor with her because it was like, now you're dealing with 2 A-list comedians.
Yeah.
You can't hang.
Who's the one guy? comes
But
his
she
hair to
goes
the
golfing
side.
with Santino, and it's one of the funniest
I
things
always
I've
see
ever
his
seen.
shorts. He comes his hair to his side. I'm like, who is this guy? And he's a comedian. If I heard his name, I would know exactly who he is. I think he's probably top 5, top 10 right now, at least. Comedian, young dude, mid-20s, maybe 30.
Mhm.
Little bit of an act, not crazy accent. But have you ever seen the What's Happening? I think it's what they're called. They have like 6 or 7 girls on, and they
Oh,
just,
yeah.
and they just
Yeah.
berate them.
Yeah, that.
So tell me, what are you on?
But they're
Scale of
going
1
on
to
asking
10,
for it.
But they're asking for it.
Yeah.
And then
They
you get
wouldn't
the-
go on the show if
And
they.
then you get the one guy who's a really good debater, but he's focused on his own, thoughts, but he's a really good because he's just quick with the mouth. And you got a couple girls on there and they're talking about, oh, this and that. And that's bad. I forget what this one guy, the one comedian I've seen, but the whole podcast thing, we just had a week ago tonight, doesn't matter when this is being filmed, we had our mixer.
Yep.
This was so cool. And we filmed the podcast at La Roca, the first time I ever filmed at La Roca. Not the first podcast filmed at La Roca, because we used to have guys that would come in and film at a table and ask for permission. I still have people asking for their own podcast. And we had a great time.
Yeah.
We had the Young Chunk party. You had to get there. You got there in the nick of time. And we had a bunch of our shows, a bunch of our peers who I loved
Our junk
picking their brains about, our junk mates.
Junkmates.
I loved, like,
junk mates.
So that's the name of the podcast that everyone's on. We call it
Junkmates.
Junkmates, and it's always one from one and one from another. That's the next great show.
Chris and Steve, they've been one of your longest podcasts.
I'm
Yeah.
copywriting that.
I
here.
loved picking their brains.
Yeah.
Junkmates is awesome.
I think I made Chris and Tubby run out and leave. He's like, I've had enough of this guy.
I think you should
But they were
put
so cool.
the oddest couples possible.
Brixton, what's the Brixton?
Bricks and Risk.
Love that dude.
Put
Yeah.
me and one of the muscle heads on there. I'll be like, so yeah, the last time I was in a gym was a year and a half ago. Talk to me now.
Get out.
Yeah. Put you in one. Oh, that'd be a fun one.
I've lost 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks just for being sick.
Congratulations.
Junk mates.
To the point I had to go to the doctor.
Where the stepbrothers come
But I
together.
love that. I love understanding the podcast. I've had Terry show me multiple times. What's the most popular? What trended? We've talked about
Yeah.
what has trended for us.
That's why we were talking Hogan all the
Hogan.
time.
People hate Hogan, apparently. And again,
People love to hate Hogan.
but you know
is
what?
the
Why I was
issue.
talking about him today was just the truth, and that those facts weren't out last week. Where the 13,500 arena, they've sold 380 tickets. Last week I did talk about his apology in the locker room, saying, "Sorry, be careful, everybody. There's phones
Cameras.
everywhere. Don't get caught." People like Mark Henry,
What a solid
Bobby
apology.
Lashley, Booker T especially. People know Booker T.
I love
wanna
Booker
just
T.
Kill Hogan because you didn't apologize. You just said, sorry, I got caught.
Because those are the people that are supposed to be your brothers in the locker rooms.
Yeah. But Hogan's fake, and that's sad.
We should get a locker room. A Young Chunk locker room.
I don't want to be a part of that. I don't belong there.
This could go south so bad.
So funny.
What? There's like 3 females on
What did
in
you?
all of the junk mates.
That's y'all's problem. I have tried to.
I
get
don't belong in the
World
locker
podcast
room.
since
Picture
the
this.
beginning.
Picture this. Hypothetically,
It's you
we have
and
Sheamus
Allison
on
Jess,
as a guest. Hypothetically, we have Sheamus on as a guest.
who was cut out of the last
Me,
episode, by the way.
You and Sheamus. And all of a sudden, the meatheads come in their jock straps into the locker room going, flexing.
It's perfect.
I don't enjoy that visual. Like,
Did you say Sheamus got cut out?
Yes.
Was it bad?
It goes to play. I ended it after like 40 minutes.
Oh my God.
When we looked at it, I was like, nope, we're not doing part 2. It ends after part 1.
Yeah.
But that's fine because we are going to have more Young Junk mixers. That was the first of many.
It was your original idea, and I jumped in on it because I thought, as a business, Video Content Factory and my restaurant, I just thought it was great combo. I will take care of part of this. You bring everybody. You are so great to us. You go above and beyond for Wheatley. It was just a great thing. And then I got pissed off. Austin was supposed to be there. Avocado was supposed to be there. But here's the funniest thing. A little news. Competition's good. I love that we are hosted by Wheatley Vodka, but it's almost pay time. And
He's like, yeah.
if you haven't seen the latest TikToks, the sharks in Hilton Head Beach, in Myrtle Beach, up in I think Connecticut over the weekend, all the sharks, they're swimming in the water.
I don't have TikTok.
Pay attention, Wheatley. Pay attention, Fireball. Pay attention, Cody Rhodes. Pay attention, Randy Orton. You're not alone. And that we are under this WWE umbrella, I love that there is competition because I feel in local Manayunk, we have Terry. We have this great studio where we love to come and record. And now we've been location. That was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
You and I had discussed other plans about possible live weekly things here. But now we have some sharks in the ocean. That mixer, literally, it was like throwing fish off the pier and some sharks came. So stay tuned, everybody. We love our sponsors, but there's never enough. And I love
Sometimes you have to shake it up harder than a margarita.
That's an awesome analogy. and I don't want to make any big changes, but why, I had one kid, okay? And then I had twins. So why can't you just keep having your family just continue to grow?
Because then you have triplets.
Yeah, that would suck.
And then quintuplets.
Dude, twins sucked even. I'm sorry if my twins see that. Peace out, homies. And my 7 grandchildren that they produced for me.
Yeah, between the two of them.
Yeah, between the two of them, 7 grandchildren. But
and you only have 10.
So podcasting is awesome. And here we are in Manayunk and the Young Junk and Video Content Factory. And I just feel we love having locals on. We've had Nick Vone on, who is one of the most famous servers on the street. We had Chrissy Ertz on recently, who I love, her real estate company. We've had on our Maria, who stuck through all the issues up the street at her former employment, came to us and has been a rock star. We've had Seamus, who is very popular in his own.
Seamus.
He said, you called me. I said, it was famous, game as Seamus.
We can say
Mecca.
Nick,
Like we have a lot of local people, and I like that. I like that we're doing that. But I like talking about big things that maybe you don't even know about. Like, can you be a GOAT in a sport if you duck somebody? It doesn't matter if you know about the UFC or boxing. It's just a question. Can you be the greatest cook? Can you be Bobby? What's his name? Bobby Flay?
Bobby Flay.
If you duck,
R.I.P. Amber.
If you duck Dylan from Video Content Factory and Young Junk, who's a great cook, and I asked his girlfriend when I met her at the mixer, and because I always said to Dylan, "What are you cooking for her?" Because he loves talking about making food.
That would be the important question that night.
It was. Oh, that was important to me because Dylan didn't need to be there.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He works for Young Junk. He absolutely had to be there.
Okay.
No question.
But
you're lucky I didn't have Ethan
but
drive.
He enjoyed himself.
But he also could have been like, "Hey, Terry, I don't normally work on Thursdays.
Nope.
I'm not coming."
Nope.
Smart guy.
Not here. Not at the family. This is the Young Junk family. You got to be there.
Not within the junk mate.
Let me ask you this.
Not within the junk mates. Now, that was also the first one. If we plan on doing this quarterly, which I think we should, then yes, it would. It's totally fine.
Atmosphere.
Not in the middle of a heat wave. Not in the middle of a.
Let me ask you a question.
No, I don't think we're doing summer again.
ask you a question. Two realistic podcasts that you would love to produce for 1 to 4 episodes. That's your limit, okay?
Okay.
A really famous person, and don't say Trump or the Pope, almost realistic, but not, maybe Bryce Harper, whatever.
Mhm.
And then somebody possibly in our world. And our world meaning Manayunk Rothman Institute, because you do so much of their video, if not
They
all.
have a show here.
I love that. So let me ask you that question. Give me somebody, give me your big pull. Give me your big catch. And then give me somebody that you think that you can do and that maybe we all can work on.
Well, I mean, we can do anything. We're the only game in town that's built for consistent podcasting at this level.
Clearly.
And being a network. So Young Junk is a network. That's the big difference, is we are always set up ready to shoot, which is why,
It's a whole set.
The sets are different.
The whole set.
But it's not an empty box it's not just an empty box that you have to figure it out. It's no, get in here, sit down. You're shooting in 5 minutes, go.
Right.
And we're set up to do that 10 to 15 hours a day. And that was always the goal.
From a customer, no problem.
For us, we definitely want comedians. We want a comedian because comedians are the best podcasters. So we have political shows, we have interesting shows, we have comic book shows, we have video game shows. We need a comedian.
Really?
We would love to have a great comedian and a shitty comedian.
On the same podcast?
Yes, where the shitty comedian always cycles.
And the other guy just beats him up in a way? Like,
Not necessarily.
Overshadows?
Not necessarily at all.
Punch, but just the like.
It's more like I would love it for exposure of like people are going to watch the important person's thing. Okay. It's like, Kill Tony. They give everyone a minute if you're drawn out of the bucket. It would be like that, where it's a killer Philadelphia comedian and then someone who's just doing an open mic or someone who hasn't done it.
What if, and I don't want to give things away, what if we did Vote Off the Island live?
Well, I would love to do that.
I bring in some comedians.
Yeah.
And we're doing it live. And people vote them off the island right then and there.
That is an awesome idea of, okay, what do we call that? Comedy
Cook-off.
Comedy cook-off?
Kick off a comedian.
Comedy kickoff.
I can think of things ultimately.
Like comedy
I'm
cook.
too sober. I need
What? They're all comedians and they're trying to cook?
Best jokes.
Cooking
I
up.
love this idea.
Let them
though.
Cook up some. Let them cook.
Yo, let them cook against each other.
Let them
and
cook.
you just have, like old rap school battle.
Yeah, but
Rap school battle.
That's the other one. I want
I've done that.
Hardcore
Freestyle?
No, like a hardcore gangster rap style show.
I'm not hosting that.
Or anything in that. And one thing I really want, I want very strong, tough dudes who don't watch Japanese cartoons called anime to be forced to watch children's anime and have them react to it in real time.
No.
Yes.
No.
That would be so funny.
None of my friends.
I can't even explain it. Like, what if you...
I mean, it's like a lot.
What about like a 270-pound linebacker watching Finding Nemo for the first time?
Oh my god!
And you record him, and he reacts in real time.
Wholesome, probably.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like, make them watch Shark Tales, where like Will Smith is the little fish.
Yeah.
And he's like this little like gangsta fish, but he's like so cute and so sweet and so.
But I have always
doing like a working at the. Okay, have you ever seen Shark Tale?
I've seen Shark Tale. Yeah.
He does a little.
This is a good short.
He's working at the car wash.
Yeah, but he does a little undersea car wash as Will Smith the fish singing working at the car.
My point is,
I like my idea better.
I would love a bunch of super tough dudes watching children's programming and reacting to it.
Make them watch.
If one of them cries,
can we make them watch?
Come on.
Moana?
Yes.
Because I feel like
if you
Moana's
get
one of
tears,
those like, oh my god, she's a badass woman, and then it's like, oh, but then
I want Derek.
Yeah.
I want Derek.
Oh, Derek.
To watch,
Derek cries all the
to
time.
watch
He would be
Bambi.
fine.
Derek.
Oh, I'm over that.
Derek would cry all the time.
Never mind.
He also has a baby now. Like he's gonna get into his cartoon phase very soon.
Is the baby a Delco Barbie? No, is a boy or girl?
Boy.
It's a boy.
So is he
Delco
is
Ken.
he Delco Ken?
No, he's not Delco. He's only half Delco.
Yeah, well, she's Delco Barbie still.
But he's not. He's like horse.
He's not.
people.
He has nothing to do with Delco.
He's like cow and horse people. I think the mayor of his hometown was a cow.
Dude, the mascot of my hometown is a tree, so like I can't.
And I'm not going anywhere with this. But I've told this story before. This is crazy. My dog would be a great podcast host because he runs his mouth.
That's a good one too.
He killed a goat.
Dogs just sitting around.
No, real fast. My dog killed a goat in West Virginia. The farmer let him live because they were allowed to shoot him. The goat got my dog's ear. They adopted him out, and you're not allowed to touch the surrounding state. She drove down there years ago, got him.
Oh yeah, we have a short about you being a criminal.
And now suddenly my neighbors,
Harboring a criminal.
my neighbors have 2 goats.
No, they have 6.
Currently,
Are there 6?
There's only 2 goat huts.
there's only 2 goats left.
No, there are 2 goat huts. There are like 6 to 8 goats in
It's
that yard.
the people across the street from me.
You don't-
They have goats. My dog's like, I'm gonna kill you.
You don't know how bad I want to go over there and just be like, meh.
I've killed again, and I'll do it again.
My dog, I have a decent size yards.
Sure.
And he has an electric fence. So he's out there all the time with no leash.
I'm waiting
People are
for the
always
day.
like, we had a guy come up last weekend going, your dog's out loose. Is he okay? And he's holding his dog in his arms.
Mm-hmm.
And my dog doesn't care about any dog.
Our dog's like, yeah, take
He's like,
take
yeah,
the
yeah.
snack somewhere.
Yeah. Get on a leash, bitch.
You're not a real dog.
No, my dog would be a funny podcast, but that's besides.
Actually, okay. If people would come on with their dogs,
Dog
and you
adoption
and your
stories.
dog on this side, and them and their dog on this
Conversations.
side,
Dog adoption stories.
Stephanie, yo,
not even that.
Can I tell
Just
you?
bullshitting.
I loved all the guests that were on the
Talking
Kingdom
dog
Mixer
shit.
last week.
You'd have to feed our dog treats the whole time.
I need to be, and I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to say this so importantly. My favorite business on the street, I never ever hide it, is Pet Friendly Dog Bakery on Main Street. And probably my favorite guest, just because we love her, we love what she does. I don't know if it's been the best episode viewed, but when we had our mixer, Stephanie came with Chaz, and they don't live around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
They don't live close. And they came to the mixer with us all.
Yeah.
And it was so great.
Actually, we
had
should
Nikki
shout that
B
out.
from Garage Beer,
And they had-
Seamus, Maria.
Yeah.
Once again, your guys, I loved talking to Chris and Steve. And I'm sorry, Steve, to your girl. I forgot her name.
Ayana.
I apologize. Ayana. She was so nice. They were all just so nice.
Chrissy and Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everyone was just so nice. I love that. And I think if you guys, this is a free commercial, whatever, but I think if you're a business and you are in the Manayunk area, East Falls, Roxborough, Norristown, Conchie, certain areas of the city, you want to help grow your business, we all feel that we are in this together. We really do, because none of us are going to get famous doing podcasts. None of us are trying to. We're just trying to survive. And in 2025, podcasts are a really cool thing. I had to be talked into doing the first one by our boy. You know, I love Sean so much, but she didn't want to do it without me.
Actually,
I didn't want to do it without her.
Sean,
And it was with Sean and Lou.
Sean fully talked me into it, and I was like, all right, fine. He's like, all right, now for your challenge, you get to talk Steven into it. I was like, well, that's not fair.
Yeah, but you know what? That was out of Sean's pocket. Sean paid for that, Sean and Lou.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were going to
But
try
we
to start
fun.
their own just because they were guys paid out of their own pocket. And Sean, you know, wasn't getting paid like he should have been at times. And they did that separately. And I love that. And that's how we got into it. We weren't trying to host a podcast.
No.
Actually, it was WWE and Wheatley. Actually, it was Wheatley Avocado said blah 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 blah, and then let's try to combine this. So that's what I want for you. I would love all these, as I was saying, all these local communities. If you talk to Terry, you hit up Video Content Factory.
Nope.
Young
Young Chunk.
Junk.
Young Chunk.
Is that all they should hit up?
Young.
We wanted to go right to Young Chunk if it's possible.
I'm sorry, why? I didn't know. I got you. No, I get that. But you're as the boss because they might have other filming needs.
That's right.
You're amazing. So that's why I say Video Content Factory.
For podcasting, hit up Young Junk so you can be a junk mate.
And again, you can just have fun on this. They're so cool. They work with you. They direct you if you want that, if you need that. We override them and they get mad at us. And other people, it's just a great community. And we didn't know how good it was till literally a week ago. I'm not saying that it wasn't good, but you have great people, dude.
Yeah.
You have really nice people, and none of them think that they're going to be Joe Rogan out of this, but we're getting views.
Well, here's the thing. You're not on this to be the next Rogan. You're on this because you have to. You're in business in 2025. You have to have a podcast.
Yeah.
So, first of all, everyone needs to just approach it like I need video content to exist as a business, period.
Obviously.
What's the easiest way to generate a lot of video content? Podcasting. When is podcasting not the easiest way? When you try and do it yourself. So you need to set it up where it's always fun and you have to do nothing but sit down and talk to your buddies. You will get more value, more marketing bang for your buck if you just come in and commit regularly to an hour of talking with your friends at a space that'll do all the rest of it for you and look better than anywhere else in Philadelphia.
Not even close. Remember when I got in trouble a few weeks ago and I came crying on your shoulder? I got yelled at today about this, and this. One of the things that they said to me, and I don't even think I mentioned it to you because it wasn't even a question, was, don't you guys think that you could do this your own if we gave you a budget to buy a bunch of equipment and this, that? And yeah, you know what? If you do the math, you can buy a couple mics, a couple cameras. But the production here is just so much better. The vibe. We don't have to worry about a thing. Steve from him and Chris's podcast,
Tubby Talk.
I said to him, when do you guys figure out what you're going to talk about? He goes, that day. I go, cool. We talk about it in the elevator coming upstairs.
12 hours ahead of us.
Or when we walk in the door. But that's cool because Terry and the Young Chunk family, and again, Dylan, and I know there's another kid, but they just make it look all better than what we could possibly do. So this is the coolest thing, and I just wanted to shout out. That's why I wanted you on for half of this.
Thank you.
Because I want to grow you so you can grow us.
Yeah, we're definitely ready for I would certainly say for 2 more shows. We would love to have 2 more shows start with us, probably by fall.
We have an idea of one.
Yep, we haven't. Well, in addition to that.
Oh,
in addition to that, because
studio shows you're talking about.
Yeah, we're definitely looking for some more folks who want to come in. I will say, all of our Young Junk family, the people who have done it in a way that has positively benefited their business is probably Bricks and Risk. Bricks and Risk figured out how to take very dense, not interesting information about insurance and real estate and make it a lot of fun. So I say that to let you know that it doesn't matter what industry you are in. All that matters is, can you look across and talk for 30 minutes? If you can do that, we can improve your marketing tenfold.
It was great Thursday meeting him. I even said to him, just so you know, some of your talk is above my head, but not above a lot of people's. But now it's not above my head because you would say something, what's your ROI on that plan or whatever. And I go, I've never thought about what my ROI if I spend $1.79 for that plant, but I'm showing it 70 times a week in different podcasts. My ROI is going through the roof, even if it's only by 50 cents at a time, because it's now become part of the desk, part of Young Chunk, part of what they see. And you spend $1.79. And him and I, I'm that weird issue guy, spectrum, whatever, that he understood because he's just a smart dude. Brian, dude, he's asked me to be on his podcast. I'm intimidated. They think that I'm this big entrepreneur. I'm a math guy. I've been hit in the head so many times, but I can still do all the math right on the spot. And I'm just a little intimidated by being put on the spot by somebody like Brian, who's not trying to put you on the spot because he's just such a brilliant kid. Not kid, whatever. And shout out on your baby, by the way, brother. Yeah. So what you do, you offer a wide range. I kind of feel like we're the cartoon of the podcast. I do. Not low end. I have a doctor.
No, nothing. Hey,
so
nothing is low end. Nothing is low end.
But you know what? But I have a potty mouth, and I'm getting better, but I don't hide it, and I made them understand I don't want to be not me.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest media entity in the world, full stop, bigger than movies, bigger than anything, is Joe Rogan Experience. That is 2 guys at a table, 2 microphones, and a producer. That's all that it is. And that should speak to everyone of like, I have to do this. And honestly, I don't think you can find a more cost-effective way to do it than with us to get that exact
that's not even
vibe.
debatable. Have you ever heard of a guy named Chris Van Fleet?
Yes.
He's a wrestling podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
You can't not like this guy. You just look at him and you hear him, and he's just so genuine. And he loves the wrestling business and is very articulate and whatever.
You just got to talk about something you love.
Yeah.
Like, and one last thing I'll say about podcasting in general.
Yep. Let's do this.
We're in a world right now where you don't call your friends, you don't hang out with your friends much, you don't talk much, you text and you send memes. Podcasting is one of the best ways to stay social with your loved ones who you care about. If you come to a place and actually have conversation, it might be the longest conversation you have with a friend all year. So even if you look at it as a way of keeping in touch with business associates, keeping in touch with friends, keeping in touch with family, it's a literal reason to have conversations with people that you'll never have because no one has any time anymore and they just want to text. This is how you become social.
One last thing that I would love to get the point out, and then we'll go home. We're backwards. We ask for the shorts first, whereas normally it's the podcast and then the shorts. What does Rogan do? Is he the same way, or is it all at the same time because he's so big? I love the shorts because to me it's the teaser.
It's the lead up.
I just that's the way I am marketing built in my crazy head.
It's
the fore. I hate to say foreplay. It's the appetizer for the main course.
I was talking about movies today, and like someone asked me if I had seen the.
You don't watch a trailer after you watch the movie.
If I had seen the trailers for something, and I was like, no, I haven't. But that's literally what shorts are for a podcast. It's the trailer. It's the thing that's going to grab your attention. One of the guys at work today was talking about a movie he wants to see because he saw kids running through the street like this, and it's a scary movie. And he was like, that actually like scared the shit out of me, and now I want to see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You see a funny short, and now you want to watch the episode to be like, how did these idiots get?
Why does it go this way? Or I know you want to say something.
Well, there's a functional reason.
Okay.
Built into YouTube, when you post a short, there's an option to tag a related video.
Okay.
So just from an SEO standpoint of
and the
it going,
video is not up yet.
And if the related video is not up yet, you can't link to it.
I would like to end it with this. I love that. I just learned something. Young Junk, the most watched short, setting the record straight, talking about Hogan, ripping off superstar Billy Graham and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. You guys, thank you so much for watching us, all 3 of you. Please watch it twice so we get 6 views. I really appreciate Terry. I really appreciate this.
Usernames.
I hit him up today saying this is what I wanted to do. The second half, I didn't have a voice, but now I'm so fired up just about talking about our family, our fellow Yunkers. Our fellow junkers, whatever you want to call
Our junk
us.
mates.
But this was awesome. Let's just keep putting this out there. Again, you guys,
Junk mates.
you have any questions, reach out. And I'll answer you as a business person. Terry can answer you as the podcast host. Because Young Junk's great. We're growing it. If you look at the subscribers, and I found this out officially, not by me paying attention, from being yelled at, his subscribers are going up all the time, every day. Not long ago, we were not even at 1,000, whatever. Then it was 1,000, 1,100, 1,200. What I forget what the number is, but it goes up constantly. This works for your business. This works if you just need to vent about Jon Bones Jones. Thank you. Doses.
Young Jon!